training for the ballet, Potter, yelled Malfoy, as Harry was forced to do a stupid kind of twirl in midair to dodge the bludger. Off Harry fled. The bludger and then glaring back at Malfoy in hatred. He saw it, the golden snitch. It was hovering inches above Malfoy's left ear, and Malfoy busy laughing. Harry hadn't seen it. For an agonizing moment, Harry hung in mid-air, not daring to speed towards Malfoy in case he looked up and saw the snitch. Wham! He had stayed still a second too long. The bludger had hit him at last, smashed into his elbow, and Harry felt his arm break. Dimly dazed by the searing pain in his arm, he slid sideways on his rain-drenched broom, one knee still crooked over it, his right arm dangling useless at his side. The bludger came pelting back for a second attack, this time aiming at his face. Harry swerved out of the way, one idea firmly lodged in his numb brain. Get to Malfoy. Though a haze of rain and pain, he dived for the shimmering, sneering face below him and saw its eyes widen with fear. Malfoy thought Harry was attacking him. What the? He gasped, carrying out of Harry's way. Harry took his remaining hand off his broom and made a wild snatch. He felt his fingers close on the cold snitch, but was only gripping the broom with his legs, and there was a yell from the crowd below as he headed straight for the road. Trying hard not to pass out. With a splattering thud, he hit the mud and rolled off his broom. His arm was hanging at a very strange angle, riddled with pain. He heard, as though from a distance, a good deal of whistling and shouting. He focused on the snitch clutched in his big hand. Ah, he said loudly with one, and he fainted. He came round, rain falling on his face, so lying on the pit with someone leaning over him. He saw a glitter of teeth. Oh, not you, he moaned. Doesn't know what he's saying, said Lockhart loudly. But Harry does know what he's saying. It's just that he'd rather go to the hospital wing than to Lockhart, because actually Lockhart took his bones away, and then you have to regrow them, and then that was quite a hard work, so yeah, that's why. To the anxious crowd of windows pressing around them. No, not to worry, Harry, I'm about to fix your arm. No, said Harry, I'll keep it like that. No. I don't want to photo of this, Colin, he said loudly. Lie back, Harry, Lockhart soothingly. It's a simple charm. I've used it countless times. Why can't I just go to the hospital wing? Said Harry through clenched teeth. He should really, Professor, said Muddywood, who couldn't help grinning even though his seeker was injured. Great capture, Harry. Really spectacular. Your best yet, I'd say. thicket of legs around him, Harry spotted Fred, George and Weasley wrestling the Rouge Bladder into a box. It was still putting up a terrific fight. Stand back, said Lockhart, who was rolling up his jade green sleeves. No, don't, said Harry weakly. But Lockhart was twirling his wand, and a second later, all the way down to his fingertips, it felt as though his arm was being deflated. He didn't dare look at what was happening. He shut his eyes, his face turned away from his arm. But his worst fears were realised that the people above him gasped, and Colin Creevy began clicking away madly. His arms didn't hurt anymore, but nor did it feel remotely like an arm. Ah, said Lockhart. Yes, well, that sometimes can happen. But the point is, the bones are no longer broken. That's the thing to bear in mind. So Harry, just toddle up to the hospital wing. Miss Del Weasley, Miss Granger. Would you escort him? And Madame Pomfrey will be able to tie you up a bit. And Harry got to his feet. He felt strangely lopsided. Taking a deep breath, he looked at his right side. What he saw nearly made him pass out again. Poking out of the end of his robes was what looked like a thick, flesh-coloured rubber glove. He tried to move his fingers. Nothing happened. Harry hadn't mended Harry's bones. He had removed them. Madame Pomfrey wasn't all pleased. You should have come straight up to me, she raised, holding up the sad remainder of what, half an hour before, had been a walking arm. I can mend bones in a second, but going them back. You will be able to, won't you? Said Harry desperately. I'll be able to, certainly, but it will be painful, said Madame Pomfrey grimly, throwing Harry a pair of pyjamas. You have to stay the night. Hermione waited outside the curtain drawn around Harry's bed while Ron helped him into his pyjamas. It took a while to stuff the rubbery, boneless arm into a sleeve. How can you stick up for Lockhart now, Hermione, Ron called through the curtain as he pulled Harry's limp fingers through the cuff. If Harry had wanted deboning, he would have asked. Anyone can make a mistake, said Hermione. And it doesn't hurt anymore, does it, Harry? No, said Harry. But it doesn't do anything else either. As he swung himself onto the bed, his arm flapped pointlessly. Hermione and Madame Pomfrey came around the curtain. Madame Pomfrey was holding a large bottle of something labelled Skelgrow. You're in for a rough night, she said, pouring out a steaming beaker full and handing it to him. Regrowing bones is a nasty business. So was taking Skelgrow. It burned Harry's mouth and throat as it went down, making him cough and splutter. Still tut-tutting about dangerous sports and teachers, Madame Pomfrey retreated, leaving Ron and Hermione to help Harry gulp down some water. "We wonder," said Ron, a grin breaking across his face. That was some catch you made. Malfoy's face. He looked ready to kill. "I want to know how he fixed that bludger," said Hermione darkly. "We can add that to the list of questions we'll ask him when we've taken the Prodigy's potion," said Harry, sinking back onto his pillows. "I hope it tastes better than this stuff. If it's got bits of Slytherins in it, you've got to be joking." The door of the hospital wing burst open at that moment. Filthy and soaking wet, the rest of the Gryffindor team had arrived to see Harry. "Unbelievable flying, Harry," said George. "I've just seen Marcus Flint yelling at Malfoy. Something about having the snake on top of his head and not noticing." Malfoy didn't seem too happy. They had bought cake, sweets, and bottles of pumpkin juice. They gathered around Harry's bed and were just getting started on what seemed to be a good party when Madame Pomfrey came storming over, shouting, "This boy needs rest. He's got 33 bones to regrow. Out, out!" And Harry was left alone with nothing to distract him from the stabbing pains in his limp arm. Hours and hours later, Harry woke quite suddenly in the pitch blackness and gave a small yelp of pain. His arm was now felt full of large splinters. For a second, he thought it was that witch had woken him. Then, with a thrill of horror, he realized that someone was sponging his forehead in the dark. "Get off," he said loudly, and then, "Dobby!" The house elves, goggling tennis ball eyes, were peering at Harry through the darkness. A single tear was running down his long, pointed nose. "Harry Potter came back to school," he whispered miserably. Dobby warned Harry Potter. "Asa, why didn't you heed Dobby? Why didn't Harry Potter go back home when he missed the train?" Harry heaved himself up on his pillow and pushed Dobby's sponge away. What are you doing here?" he said curiously. "And how did you know I missed the train?" Dobby's lip trembled, and Harry seized by sudden suspicion. "It was you," he said slowly. "You stopped the barrier letting us through. Indeed, yes, sir, said Dobby, nodding his head vigorously, his ears flapping. Dobby hid and watched for Harry Potter unsealed the gateway, and Dobby had to iron his hands afterwards. He showed Harry 10 long bandaged fingers, but Dobby didn't care, sir, for he thought Harry Potter was safe. And never did Dobby dream that Harry Potter would get to school in another way. He's rocking backwards and forwards, shaking his ugly head. Dobby was so shocked when he heard Harry Potter was back at Hogwarts. He let his master's dinner ban. Such a flogging Dobby had never had, sir. Harry slumped back onto his pillows. You nearly got Ron and me expelled, he said fiercely. You'd better clear off before my bones come back, Dobby, or I might strangle you. Dobby smiled weakly. Dobby is used to death threats, sir. Dobby gets them 5 times a day at home. He blew his nose on the corner of the filthy pillowcase he wore, looking so pathetic that Harry felt his anger ebb away in spite of himself. Why do you wear that thing, Dobby? He asked curiously. This, sir, said Dobby, plucking at the pillowcase. 'Tis a mark of the House of Enslavement, sir. Dobby can only be freed if his masters present him with clothes, sir. The family is careful not to pass Dobby even a sock, sir, for then he would be free to leave the house forever. Dobby mopped his bulging eyes and then said suddenly, Harry Potter must go home. Dobby thought his pleasure with me be enough to make your bludger? Your bludger? Said Harry, anger rising once more. What do you mean, your bludger? You made that bludger try and kill me? No, not kill you, sir. Never kill you, said Dobby, shocked. Dobby wanted to save Harry Potter's life, but isn't home, grievously injured and remained here, sir. Dobby only wanted Harry Potter hurt enough to be sent home. Oh, is that all? Said Harry angrily. I don't suppose you're going to tell me why you want me sent home in pieces. If only Harry Potter knew, Dobby groaned, more tears dripping onto his ragged pillowcase. If he knew what he means to us, to the enslaved, us strangers of the magical world, Dobby remembers how it was when he who must not be named was at the heat of his power, sir. We ourselves were treated like vermin, sir. Of course, Dobby is still treated like that, sir, he admitted, drying his face on the pillowcase. But mostly, sir, life has improved for my kind since you triumphed over he who must not be named. Harry Potter survived, and the Dark Lord's power was broken, and it was a new dawn, sir. And Harry Potter shone like a beacon of hope for those who thought the dark days would never end, sir. And now at Hogwarts, terrible things are to happen, and perhaps happening already, and Dobby cannot let Harry Potter stay here now that the history repeats itself. Now that the Chamber of Secrets is open. Dobby froze. Horror shock. Then grabbed Harry's water jug from his bedside table and cracked it over his head, toppling at her side. A second later, he crawled back onto the bed, cross-eyed, muttering, "Bad Dobby, very bad Dobby." "So there is a chamber of secrets," Harry whispered. "Did you say it's been opened before? Tell me, Dobby." He sees the Elfsburn News as Dobby's hand inched. "Sir, arsenic more of poor Dobby," stammered the elf. His eyes huge in the dark. "Dark deeds are planned in his place. But Harry Potter must not be here when they happen. Go home, Harry Potter, go home. Harry Potter must not meddle in this, sir. 'Tis too dangerous." "Who is it, Dobby?" Harry said, keeping a firm hold on Dobby's wrist to stop him hitting himself with the water jug again. "Who opened it, sir? Who opened it last time?" "Dobby can't, sir. Dobby can't. Dobby mustn't tell," scolded the elf. "Go home, Harry Potter, go home." "I'm not going anywhere," said Harry fiercely. "One of my best friends is Muggleborn. She'll be first in line if the chamber really has been opened." Harry Potter risks his own life for his friends, moaned Dobby in a kind of miserable ecstasy. So noble, so valiant, but he must save himself, sir. He must. Harry Potter mustn't. Dobby suddenly froze. His back is quivering. Harry heard it too. There were footsteps coming down from the passageway outside. "Dobby must go," breathed the elf. Terrified, there was a thin, loud crack, and Harry's fist was suddenly clenched on thick air. He slumped back into his bed, his eyes on the dark doorway to the hospital wing as the footsteps drew nearer. Next moment, Dumbledore was back in the dormitory wearing a long woolly dressing gown and nightcap. He was carrying one end of what looked like a statue. Professor McGonagall appeared silently, carrying its feet. Together, they heaved it onto a bed. "Get Madame Pomfrey," whispered Dumbledore, and Professor McGonagall hurried past the end of Harry's bed out of sight. Harry lay quite still, pretending to be asleep. He heard urgent voices. And then Professor McGonagall swept back into view, closely followed by Madame Pomfrey, who was pulling a cardigan on over her nightdress. He heard a sharp intake of breath. "What happened?" Madame Pomfrey whispered to Dumbledore, bending over the statue on the bed. Another attack, said Dumbledore. Minerva found him on the stairs. There was a bunch of grapes next to him, said Professor McGonagall. We think he's trying to sneak up here to visit Potter. Harry's stomach gave. It's Colin Creevy. His eyes were wide, and his hand was stuck up in front of him, holding his camera. Petrified, whispered Madame Pomfrey. Yes, said Professor McGonagall. But I shudder to think, if Alba hadn't been on the way to downstairs for hot chocolate, who knows what might happen? The three of them stared down at Colin. Then Dumbledore leaned forward and prized the camera out of Colin's rigid grip. You don't think he managed to get a picture of his attacker? Said Professor McGonagall eagerly. Dumbledore didn't answer. He prized open the back of the camera. Good gracious, said Madame Pomfrey. A jet of steam hissed out of the camera. Harry, 3 beds away, caught the acrid smell of burnt plastic. Melted, said Madame Pomfrey wonderingly. Oh, melted! What does this mean, Albus? Professor McGonagall asked ardently. It means, said Professor Dumbledore, that the Chamber of Secrets is indeed open again. Madame Pomfrey clapped a hand to her mouth. Professor McGonagall stared at Dumbledore. But Albus, surely who? The question is not who, said Dumbledore, his eyes on Colin. The question is how. And from what Harry could see of Professor McGonagall's shadowy face, she didn't understand this any better than he did. The end of chapter.